Well, here's where we are in Afghanistan, ladies and gentlemen. I don't have to break down the entire conflict for you. You know we went there in 2001, quickly wiped out a whole bunch of people, quickly couldn't figure out who exactly the enemy was. Since then, we've had a horrible strategy for about the last 19 years where we're helping this group, we're helping that group, we're trying to now train the Afghan security forces. They're betraying us at every turn. The Taliban remain the strongest force in the country and will take it back about 5.5 seconds after we walk out of the country. Yet every single general and State Department guy sits before the President of the United States and convinces him, I'm the one who can get us out of there. Don't worry, Mr. President, I have a plan. I have a plan. And the latest and greatest plan they've been working on is an actual peace deal or ceasefire of some kind with the Taliban. Here's Donald Trump on Saturday, before I go off on that.
I'll be meeting personally with Taliban leaders in the not too distant future. And we'll be very much hoping that they will be doing what they say they're going to be doing. They will be killing terrorists. I really believe the Taliban wants to do something to show that we're not all wasting time. If bad things happen, we'll go back.
If they wanted... You know what? Here's Mike Pompeo. I'm holding off for a moment. Here's Mike Pompeo.
We will closely watch the Taliban's compliance with their commitments and calibrate the pace of our withdrawal to their actions. This is how we will ensure that Afghanistan never again serves as a base for international terrorists.
Let me explain something right now. Any peace deal that requires the Taliban to do anything is one that's going to keep us in Afghanistan forever. If your plan to leave Afghanistan involves the Taliban doing some sort of a ceasefire or some sort of a, a de-escalation of violence, then we're never going to leave. The Taliban are not one monolithic group. There are 8 million different tribes. Even if you made a deal and you happen to get one tribe who won't screw you over the first chance they get, the next tribe is just going to come in and do it. Oh, did I mention? That was over the weekend when we kind of had this peace deal. As of this morning, the Taliban announced they've ended the peace deal, and they just, I believe it was a truck bomb, blew a bunch of people up in Afghanistan. And the reason I'm so upset about this is not just the loss of life in Afghanistan. I'm upset about this and that why are we not figuring this out? We have to leave if that's the goal. I want us out. Maybe some people disagree, that's fine. But if you want to leave, there's not an easy and clean way to do it. And the reason I get frustrated is that means we're going to be there forever if you're waiting for an easy and clean way to do it. The Taliban is not like we're negotiating with France. It's not like you're negotiating with some reasonable nation state. They're a bunch of radical Islamist tribal people. They're barbarians. They treat women and kids like garbage. They blow themselves up and other people. They hide and train terrorists. They hide in caves. They're monsters. I realize that. And I realize that nobody wants to look at all the blood and treasure we've lost in Afghanistan and say, well, we just got to go. But ladies and gentlemen, if you want out of Afghanistan, there's nothing else you can do except for land a big C-130, load all the troops and equipment on the back of it, and fly out and say sayonara on the way out the door. A Afghan peace deal that involves the Taliban doing something is a guarantee to stay in Afghanistan forever. I don't care about the president's nice words about the Taliban or any of that. None of that stuff matters to me. What matters to me is finally bringing our men and women home from that hole where we have no mission, which is unfair to our troops. And as of right now, there's not even a plan to do so. You can say, well, we're trying. Well, I mean, we're going to do this. How long do you have to try? Load them up and fly them home. John Bolton, of course, King Neocon, took to Twitter, because that's where all foreign policy stuff is discussed now, and said, quote, signing this agreement with the Taliban is an unacceptable risk to America's civilian population. This is an Obama-style deal. legitimizing Taliban sends the wrong signal to ISIS, Al-Qaeda terrorists, and to America's enemies in general. This is, of course, one of our established foreign policy people who clearly has no idea what he's talking about. No person in their right mind think the Taliban have any designs on the civilian population of the United States of America. If you want to make some argument that the Taliban are these barbaric, anti-women, anti-freedom monsters, and we should stay over there and fight them, I disagree, but that's fine. If you want to make the argument that the Taliban have designs to come to our shores and kill Americans, you're a moron. Sorry, that's just a fact. So what am I supposed to do with all this, ladies and gentlemen? You know how big of a fan of the President Trump, presidency I've been so far, the jobs, the judges. I believe he has the right heart when it comes to foreign policy. He's constantly out there saying, bring us home. Yes, I believe he's getting extremely bad advice on Afghanistan, but here's the thing, people, and I know this is going to make a lot of you uncomfortable. He's the commander-in-chief. The buck stops with him. So if we're making crappy peace deals with the Taliban that are going to doom us to stay in that place throughout the Trump presidency, that's on Donald Trump. Donald Trump very likely has 5 more years in office. When he walks out that White House at the end of that 5 years, if we're still in Afghanistan, I'm sorry, I don't want to hear about the advisors. I don't want to hear about the generals. I don't want to hear about this Pentagon guy or what that senator said. You are the commander-in-chief of the United States military. Bring us home if you want to come home. And if you don't want to come home, step up to the microphone and say you don't want to come home. But stop telling me you want to come home and then bank on peace deals with the freaking Taliban. Might as well make a peace deal with a rabid Wolverine. Hey, thanks so much for watching The First on YouTube. If you liked what you saw, go ahead and like and subscribe. You heard me. Like it, subscribe. You'll get a lot more of it and a lot more of me.